Hi, this is Luann with Rockin Book Reviews, and I'm so happy to be here again today with Harry L. Wegley. Harry was introduced last month, and we told you there was a special thing coming up this month, and we'll tell you in a minute what it was. But first, I want to tell you why Harry L. Wegley is very important in my blogging history. A few years ago, I had so many problems with technology and with my blog site and everything, and I was at an all-time low. I was ready to just say, forget it and call it quits. And I got contacted by Harry L. Wegley. I think it was inspired because he asked me if I would review his books. And when I looked at the series and read about them, I thought, boy, this sounds something I'd really like. And they're clean. Most of the times when I see books that I like that are political thrillers, they aren't clean. So I don't really agree to read many of them. But anyhow, it was really an outstanding series, Cry in the Wilderness. And it was just, if you haven't read them, go back and read them. They are fantastic series. And since then, he's written many books. I am so excited about this new series. Harry, what is the new series about? And it releases August 11th, right?
Right. On August 11th, we're releasing a joint project where 9 best-selling, award-winning Christian authors banded together and agreed to jointly each write a book with a couple of common themes in them and publish it as a large ebook collection and run that collection for probably up to around next January. And then when it's unpublished, each author gets their work back, which will have a book in it. I think every one of the authors is using their part, their contribution, as a book that will launch a new series for them personally.
And yours will be a series?
Mine will be a series, yes.
Tell us a little bit about it, what you can tell us.
Okay. Let's start with the story itself. I think I might have mentioned a little bit about this in the last interview, but the main character, the heroine of the story, is a young lady, Mei-Ling Chen. She's a fairly new Christian, but she's a brilliant molecular biologist and has done her schooling and her research at the Hong Kong University Medical School. When it looks like she's on the verge of some really significant breakthroughs, some scientists from the Wuhan Institute of Virology would like her to come over there and complete her research. So they offer her a very lucrative fellowship, postdoctoral fellowship, to go and complete her research there. It's so attractive that she takes them up on it, although she has some reservations. When she gets over there and is into her research, she realized that her technology is just going to be stolen and used for some of the deadliest biowarfare weapons ever produced. And that's where my story begins. And as it opens, she is copying her research data, destroying the entire project data in the Wuhan lab, and never had revealed some of the key findings. She kept those to herself. And she takes her data and flees the country with the CCP agents in pursuit because they are mad. They've lost a big part of what they plan to do to get them to a position of world domination eventually. And so they chase her, and there's a lot of suspense, a lot of action, and some light romance. The hero of the story is Ryan Adams. He's a 30-something meteorologist working for a TV station in Bend, Oregon. And he's a self-taught Christian apologist who operates a website where he posts relevant apologetical articles and news, and he occasionally interviews the movers and shakers in American society. And one of those is Dr. Robert Pierce. He interviews him, who's a researcher who runs his own medical research lab, which he recently upgraded to biosafety level 4. So he can accommodate the world's most dangerous pathogens in his lab. But when Mei-Ling arrives in America, she's looking for someone she can trust, probably a Christian then, and she wants someone who has some connection to medical researchers because she wants to keep pursuing her research, which is developing therapies for RNA viruses. And if you don't know what those are, they include some wonderful pathogens like the Nipah virus, several strains of Ebola, hantavirus, which we have here in the American Southwest, influenza, SARS, MERS, dengue virus, West Nile fever, rabies, polio, and all the coronaviruses. And that's just a few of them. Well, Mei-Ling and her technology can handle those. So she's highly sought after as an associate, but highly feared as an opponent. And the story is set in Wuhan, Hong Kong, Central Oregon, Colorado, and Washington, D.C. That kind of sums up what I can tell you without introducing a lot of spoilers.
We have been running the cover for a few days, and it is so dreary, but it sounds like it really depicts what your book's about. Yeah. It's a wonderful cover. I really like it.
I wanted to get the idea across that there's something really nefarious about that cave that you see on the cover. I did this on purpose. I made Mei Ling a person who studies all these viruses that they find in bat caves, but she's terrified of bats.
I don't particularly like them either, but you did a lot of research before you wrote your book. Just so everybody's aware, it's not that you're just a novice at this either. You have worked in analytics with top secret government officials. You've been an inventor of science, of different type of products. You can tell us a little bit about that in a minute. And then you also are a scientist in other ways. Tell us a little bit about your credentials first, and then tell us what research you did.
Well, my background includes some time spent in the military working very closely with NSA, doing intelligence analysis of intercepted communications, things like that. Then I got a degree in meteorology and an advanced degree in computer science. And I worked as a senior researcher for many years at one of the national labs and did a lot of research. Mostly it was in areas related to atmospheric physics, but it was contract research. So we were getting paid for our research. So we did pretty high quality work, would continue to get a paycheck. So
I invented a couple of things.
I came up with some things that were used for the nuclear energy industry and also wind energy. But that's where my research background lies. I'm not trained medically, but when the COVID outbreak occurred here in the United States, the epicenter was 15 miles to the north of where my wife and I live. Very concerning because a bunch of people died right off the bat. And we were in the process of being locked down pretty much. And I wanted to know what we had to do to survive this if it came to our house. So I started doing research at that point. Within about a month, I had come across doctors who were successfully treating people. They were getting well and they were not going to the hospital. So I gathered all that information. And I kept doing, I did research for 2.5 years, right up until the present time on this pandemic, about every aspect of it that I could find information on, where it started, how it's being used by various groups for acquiring power or whatever there is that they wanted, wealth. And when I saw some of the sort of movers behind this and what they wanted, not only had something that was kind of frightening for us as Americans, but it made a good plot for a book through which I could bring this to the attention of people. I learned a lot about COVID-19 and the SARS-CoV-2 virus, which caused it. That took me all the way back to the origins of that virus. And it was pretty clear that the components of the spike of the virus would never, several different proteins combine, and you would never find those in a bat cave, not all of them together. It was created by an intelligent mind to bring those together. So I knew that there was some level of conspiracy behind this. And it turns out that that's part of the unrestricted warfare that the Chinese Communist Party initiated against us about 20 years ago, and it's ongoing. It's their way of taking over powerful countries of the world without firing a shot, basically. So that's one of the things I wanted to introduce in this series of books that I'm writing, of which Against the Darkness is the first story. Did that answer your question?
Yes, and I also want to emphasize that you may not be a medical doctor, but you're an expert in analysis, and you also know how to research the scientific.
I made a living doing research for quite a number of years.
To me, that makes you pretty much an expert without a medical degree anyway. And I think a lot of people with medical degrees aren't very expert. Do you have the names of the other authors involved in this project?
I do, but I don't think I should release them until the pre-sale announcement takes place on July 11th. They're kind of treating this as if it's top secret, and it's going to hit the world with a bang.
We'll just know that they are top award-winning authors.
Yes, they are all they're award-winning, best-selling. I think we have 3 Christie Award winners in the group, which is the highest award you can get in Christian fiction, and USA Today bestsellers. It's a good group of people. I feel honored that they invited me to join them on this project.
Okay, what inspired this. What inspired you getting together?
A couple of the authors were talking about doing a joint project. They thought it would be something that would generate a lot of interest, a lot of sales. They hadn't done it before, but they wanted to try it. So they started looking around for other authors that were those qualifications I gave to you that had those. And they got 9 takers, and I'm one of them. And so we laid down an agreement. We all signed on to it and said, this is what we'll do, and a schedule that we'd abide by. And we're about ready for the release. Pre-sale starts on July 11th, and the book goes published live on August 11th. And this will probably run as a published collection till around next January, and then it will be unpublished. The books all go back to the original authors. And I think each one of us is using our contribution to this as a prequel or a starter novel for a series that we're writing ourselves personally.
That sounds so exciting. It'll also be interesting to find out what the other authors are doing with theirs.
I can tell you kind of the range of subjects I've seen in there.
Okay.
There's common themes that we were supposed to stick to has to be something to do with winter. Doesn't have to be Christmas, just has to be winter. And all are suspense. I think most of them, maybe all of them, have some light romance. The topics I've seen range from espionage, murder and crime drama stuff. A couple of them get into science, deeply into science. A couple of them, I think, have dogs, cast members in the plot. Yeah, I think that kind of covers what I can say about it right now. But you're going to hear a lot in a couple of weeks when advertisements start hitting the internet. You probably, if you watch Christian fiction at all, you're not going to miss it.
And because of the uniqueness of this particular series, we're going to do something a little bit different and unique on our giveaway. Because there are 9 novellas involved, and we'd like everybody to get a sample of them all, and it will be as a volume. We will be doing the giveaway as a giveaway for the 9-volume ebook. Can you tell us anything more about that?
Well, yeah, the reason it's an ebook is it would be impractical to make a print book 1,700 pages. Pre-sale starts July 11th and runs for about 3 weeks, and you can get it at a much reduced price then. So when you see that, you might want to jump on it, because then it goes up to about 3 times that amount when it publishes on August 11th.
And maybe we can have actual print copies when January comes around.
Yes, we can. Hopefully you'll have 3 of them all at once.
That would be fantastic. Okay, and so I'm really looking forward to that. Is there any final comments before we go?
Nothing I can think of from here. Just trying to survive the heat wave in Seattle. It's supposed to end tonight. 3 90+ days are a bit much for us folks up here in the Northwest.
It's been crazy. And maybe when we meet again, we can discuss more about the political issues that we're facing. I know that A Cry in the Wilderness was an excellent series that addressed and still addresses the situation we have now in the world. And so if anybody hasn't read, what's the old series name?
See, it was Against All Enemies.
Yeah, Against All Enemies.
Voice in the Wilderness, Voice of Freedom, and Chasing Freedom. I think the 3 books.
If anybody hasn't read that series, I really recommend it, because it really hits on what's going on into the world today. And even though it's written as fiction, it's got a lot of fact in it. That's another thing I admire about you, Harry, is how much fact you put in your books, how much research you put in your books. And I appreciate that as a reader.
Thank you. My philosophy has been, I don't want to write something that's impossible to ever happen. I want it to at least be possible, so people have something to think about, worry about, or pray about. Or
actually, I think it's very probable of what's going on. So it's a little scary. The old adage that be prepared. If you're prepared for something, it's not as shocking and not as horrible than if you're unprepared and all of a sudden it hits. And I think we need to be prepared.
And that's when the COVID pandemic hit here and we were at the epicenter of the whole country, that was kind of scary. But I spent a month preparing then. It wasn't so scary at all then, because we were ready to face what was coming. Well,
for now, we're going to sign off. And again, thank you, Harry, for the giveaway and for being on with us again, and for the wonderful writing you do.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
And we hope you'll soon all search the universe through books. Goodbye.